Okay, so let's get to these tweets. Put the dial up on the screen there for 5 minutes. I will answer your tweets within the time it takes for a mixed martial arts round to expire. Here we go. Set the clock in motion, please. Yes. All right. Would you rather see Michael Chandler in Bellator or UFC? I think selfishly, I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him in UFC just for the fights that would be there for me. But I got to say, you always have to wonder financially what's the best deal for these guys. And I have to imagine that you gotta think he's probably gonna. He's an extremely important component to the Bellator brand, even if he's not out there setting the world on fire with ratings. He's an avatar for like Bellator corporate loyalty, right? He's been loyal to them. You got to do right by that guy. Plus, he's exciting. Plus, he's very, 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 very talented. There's a lot of reasons why you want to keep him around. Next, someone says, "Hi, Luke Thomas. Your show, you're is spelled wrong, is fun to listen to. Two is spelled wrong. You rock." Well, thank you, Richard. I don't have much to add to that other than I've policed your grammar, but I nevertheless appreciate your patronage. Thank you, sir. All right, here we go. Which, in your opinion, would you say is currently the deepest division in the UFC and in Bellator? This is a very easy answer. You could probably say maybe Bellator's welterweight division is deeper. That welterweight and lightweight space, that's your sweet spot right there. And the reason why you know that is, number one, it's true in Bellator. It's true in the UFC. It's largely true in virtually every other organization on earth. That lightweight, welterweight sweet spot, it's the guys who are super athletic, super talented, but are probably just a tick too small for your stick and ball sports or something else in related fields of activities in other countries. Certainly in our country, if you want to play American football, you got to be big. If you want to play American baseball, you don't have to be big, but they can be a little on the larger size. And that goes as true. I mean, NBA basketball, do I need to say anything? Certainly hockey, you got to be sort of a physical presence as well. And these are guys who are just a tick under that in size, but have all the athleticism, all the rage, all the combativeness, all the skill. They just need to put it somewhere. And so to me, it's not an accident that the guys who are just smaller than the guys who are of typical major league pro athlete size, that there are so many of them in abundance, such that all of the major organizations inside MMA and many of the smaller ones, their best division is 155, and their best fighters typically come out of there. So that's what I would say. All right, next. Odds of Alexei Olynyk getting his third Ezekiel choke against Hunt. Hunt seems way too smart for that, like way too smart for that. But I would have thought everybody was way too smart for that. I don't know how you get no-gi Ezekiel choked in MMA, but it keeps happening. So my answer would be probably very little and low. All the guys he's gotten it on to this, look, I'll respect to Victor Pesta, but he's not Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt's accomplished a lot more, and I don't think that's any kind of an insult. I think it's just a statement of fact. And Hunt is savvy. He's going to be hard to take down. I think he's a more physical guy than Olynyk, even on the feet. Forget all the striking. I think just his ability to create distance. Hunt can sprawl still pretty well, so I'd say it's pretty rare. Plus, he can keep the fight at distance, but we're going to see, dude. All right, next. Which sport do you think is the hardest to ref and umpire? What are your thoughts on expanding replay and when and how it could be used? Jesus. Hashtag not a mouth breather. Well, if you're not a mouth breather, I don't know what you're doing watching the show. What sport do you think is the hardest to ref and umpire? Well, I got to say, MMA is pretty goddamn hard to referee. And they're all hard in their own ways. Football, you have so much, American football, you have so much replay, it's almost overwhelming. The rules are confusing. What about strike zones inside of baseball? That can be incredibly hard to police night after night after night after night. You're going to get a lot of that wrong. They're all kind of uniquely hard in their own way. And without having done them, I'm only speaking from what it appears to be the hardest. So I'm going to say that hard to rank them, quite candidly. The only thing I would say is the professional training programs that the other leagues put in place to raise the next generation of referees and then make sure that the ones they have are kept up with best practices, that's a lot better. Next, do you think Khabib is overrated? No. Yes, 26-0 is a great record. But when you look at the people he's fought compared to Conor, it's not even close. Only one former champ or challenger in RDA compared to Max, Poirier, Nate, Aldo, Mendez, and Alvarez. Mendez is spelled wrong. Okay, do you think Khabib is overrated? Well, it depends how highly you rate him, doesn't it? This is going to happen no matter what with respect to this fight. If Conor wins, everyone's going to say Khabib's overrated, even though he's not. If Khabib wins, everyone's going to say, Conor got lucky all those nights. I'll finish up here, even though he didn't, even though that there's not even close to being true. And it's just this weird matter of bizarre perspective that we keep foisting upon the world, where we do this revisionist history thing. Look, Conor has great wins, and he's got the wins that you mentioned. The Poirier win is pretty fantastic, but Poirier is different now. Nate, he won and he lost to. I don't think Khabib would ever lose to Nate, to be candid with you. You've got guys like Max Holloway, but he beat Max when Max was barely himself. So I'm not here to take away any of those wins. They're all great, but the question is one guy a fraud? No. Does one guy have a lot of interesting names that have aged well in his resume? Yes. Is he supremely talented in Conor McGregor? Yes. But you don't get to 26-0 in the sport's toughest division by accident, especially when you're not a dramatic finisher. That must mean that the skills you possess have to be overwhelmingly controlling. And more to the point, when you really think about it, I've said this before with Khabib, show me a guy in MMA. Everyone talks about his rides. Oh, he's got the ride with the wrist control. He's got the ride with the cross wrist. And look at the chicken wing he put on Michael Johnson. Man, forget all that. Forget all that for just a second. You want to know what makes Khabib a bad motherfucker? I'll tell you. Here's the answer. Show me somebody else in MMA that has that array of takedowns that he has. Right? He could throw from an underhook. He can do judo trips and throws. He can do single legs. He can do double legs. He can do high crotch lifts. He can do body lock takedowns. He can go forward. He can go backward. He creates motion. He can do it against the fence. He's not so great in open space, but he can do it there if he needs to as well. He can go going forward, backward. He is complete in that sense.